JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 8th of August 2022. So yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, as always, a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD brokers.com website, which I believe you can find it useful, so check us out here on jfdbrokers.com. Now then, jumping into the charts, guys, the first one, as always, is Nikkei 225. So, in general, last week we had an interesting kind of, week. Today, for example, it was a very quiet one, but on Friday, as you all know, we had the NFP numbers coming out from the US, which came out much better than the forecast, which gave a boost a little bit for the dollar. Also, we had the Canadian numbers. We had the Canadian numbers coming out. The unemployment number did show up better, but the IV PMI number disappointed. It came much lower than the forecast. So the forecast was at 60.3, which was already on a bit on the lower side, but the Canadian economy contracted, and basically went below 50, which kind of shows kind of contraction in the economy. So yep, that's not very good, even when you're expecting a 60.3 number, but comes out at 49.6. So. But I'll get to the Canadian dollar in a while. Coming back to Nikkei here, we saw a further move higher here. In general, the U.S. Markets on Friday, they kind of ended up mixed, slightly, some of them slightly in negative territory, some of them in positive. Dow was the one that ended up in the positive territory. So, and here Nikkei kind of continued to move higher in a way, but initially opening up lower. But then, yeah, the bulls managed to drag this a little bit higher. But as you can see here, that momentum, the upside momentum, is kind of fading away a little bit, and and looking at this picture, it's coming perfectly towards the upper side of the range. And to be honest, I would say mission accomplished in a way, because I was saying to you previously that, look, I mean, this is going to be my target. This is where I'm going to be aiming for, and even if it breaks this barrier, this 28,015 zone, then yeah, we'll go for this upper side of this range. So keep that in mind, guys. The moment, I would say, yes, there is still potential for this one to move higher, but a break of this barrier would be needed. And also, don't get surprised, for example, if we do push through this barrier and we do move a little bit higher, but then by the end of the trading session we climb, well, not climb, but we drop back down and stay below it. So we'll get ourselves a nice beautiful false breakout in that case. So in other words, I would say at this point, yes, I'm still kind of positive, but my positivity is kind of fading away a little bit, just because, like I said, we're near this area. I want to see how it performs now, because I want to see if it's, if it's gonna break this area or not, or will it actually get a hold up somewhere around here and then, drift back to the downside. Well, let's not overcomplicate our lives. I would say let's just watch it. Let's see what's gonna happen here, and then we'll just go from there, guys. Now, jumping into Shanghai Composite very quickly. So beautiful reversal from this highlighted territory. Okay, everything's perfect, nice. We moved higher, but yeah, if this downside line continues to provide resistance, then yes, we could see another decline here, another drop. However, in this situation right now, I would prefer to wait for a drop below the 3,160 territory, 60 territory here, in order to get a little bit more comfortable with, let's say, with the downside. All this area right here, it will be somewhat of a neutral one for me, or maybe not even neutral, but cautiously bearish, because again, we're below this downside line, so still there's still potential for the downside. However, a break of this downside line is needed. If we do get that break, then yes, maybe we'll consider maybe a bit of a move higher, but we do have this 200-day EMA here on the way higher, so that's initially we'll aim for the 100-day EMA, because and by the way, what I wanted to say, there we go, got a blocked there. Yeah, there we go. The downside line is coinciding with the 21-day EMA. So basically, a nice good break above this downside line could also lead to, could mean that we have broken the 21-day EMA and we could move towards this 100-day EMA here. So again, the first obstacle here on the way higher could be this this 100-day EMA. If we clear that, then yeah, we'll go for some slightly higher levels. Just bear with me one moment. Yeah, I think everything seems to be fine. Yeah, okay. Right. Yeah. So jumping into ASX 200. So we had a beautiful rally. Look at this. I mean, after it reversed here to the upside, I mean, back in the mid-July, I mean, I talked about some of these barriers, and we continued to climb higher. I think I need to put this one on the chart here as well. This one was a good barrier as well. Now, in terms of, let's say, further upside, yes, there is still potential for a further upside, because again, I said before, I am aiming for this 200-day EMA, or maybe even this 7,066 territory. Well, we're not far from there, so let's see, if we can reach both of those, or at least one, which is the 200-day EMA. I'll be happy with that, and then we'll just go from there. If it decides, for example, not to go to the upside, I wouldn't get very bearish until we are still trading above this 6,981 territory. If we start dropping back below it, then yes, I'll consider a move towards the 21-day EMA initially, and then we'll go from there. But at the moment, like I said, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the upside. As like I said, I would like to see a test of that 200-day EMA, maybe, like I said, even an overshoot. And if it does overshoot, then the 7,066 territory is the one to keep an eye on. Now, the German index, DAX, looking at this picture here, we can see that we declined on Friday, and I think Uwe was mentioning this in the chat room about this, what was it called, gravestone, something like that. I don't know, Uwe, if you're here, then maybe you can remind me on that one. But basically, we were talking about a potential reversal here, which yeah, it did happen. But again, was it that formation, or was it the the shooting star here? Again, I'm not saying anything. I mean, we did get a decline here, but from the shorter term perspective, and if we take a look at the cash index as well, first of all, we can see that we have an upside line here, which is, you know, still kind of in play. The cash index right now is trading at around 13,630 zone, so basically above Friday's close, but still below this barrier right here. Look, all of the levels seem to be kind of working out nicely. So this 13,649 level, the one that I talked about previously, that's the high of the 13th of June. I would like to see a push above that barrier in order to go a little bit to the upside here. But then we have an obstacle here, which is the 100-day EMA, which we need to consider. And if we clear that area as well, then yes, further upside could be possible towards this downside line, because don't forget, we're still, you know, trading below this medium-term downside resistance line, medium-term tentative downside resistance line. So it might, you know, carry some, you know, it might carry some weight, or it might not, because it's still a tentative one. So maybe we will be the, you know, the third touch which will respect it, and you know, and then we will see another stronger declines here. But again, let's not over speculate here. One thing that I want to say is that the other target, this 13,570 territory, is also doing its job, and look at how well it acted on Friday as a good area of support, and yeah, we have kind of rebounded from here. So that's why I'm keeping these for now. For the downside, if you're looking for some lower levels here, I would say for now at this point in time, I would keep an eye on this little hurdle here. This, although yeah, it could, if we break this upside line earlier, okay, that's great, but I would actually prefer to see it drop somewhere below this little territory, and maybe, who knows, maybe the 21-day EMA would approach this area as well, and it would coincide nicely, and then yeah, a nice good drop here could lead to some lower levels. But let's for now, I'm cautiously bullish, because again, we did have that nice move to the upside already. And another thing, I don't want to say anything yet, but maybe this is just kind of forming something of a something like a rising veg maybe, but again, it's not an ideal one. So again, we can fantasize as much as we want here, but at the moment, yeah, if it's not doing this, then let's just leave it. For now, I'll just go slowly. If you know, if you see something on the chart all the time and you think that it might be this, and if it's not perfect, then I would suggest not to focus on it too much, because we have seen the market, the instruments forming perfect patterns, so that means that they can do it. So if it's not perfect pattern, guys, then just, you know, stick to, for example, support and resistance levels instead. Dow Jones Industrial Average, very quickly on that one, beautiful move to the upside. Like I said, the only one that closed on Friday in positive territory from the top three indices, US indices. And yeah, at the moment, the cash index is sitting somewhere around the 32,820. Not far from where it closed on Friday, but still below this barrier, this 32,972, which is the current highest point of August. If we clear this, then yes, I'll go higher. If we don't, if we struggle, we might continue ranging here for a while. As you can see, it could be the case that we're forming maybe a nice little range here. So yeah. Something like this basically should be kept an eye on. On the downside, the 32,387 level, that's what I'm watching here, and then we could go from there. DXY. DXY pushed beautifully to the upside on Friday, of course, given the good numbers from the US, and yeah, look at this. I mean, we pushed nicely back above this 21-day EMA, but to be honest, at this point, I'm just watching this one, and it's not really working out, let's say, the way I would like it to work out, so that's why I'm gonna, gonna keep an eye on this one just for now. Overall, yes, we're trading above this upside line taken from the low of the 10th of February. We're still, below this upside line, but with this upside line, to be honest, I think it's time to get rid of it because it's no longer valid here. So I think that we can draw something like this. Oh, and by the way, again, coming back to my favorite veggies and stuff like that, maybe, again, just maybe we could be forming something right here. But again, I will keep this as just a simple idea. The only thing is that why I'm in favor of such an idea is because, let's put it this way, if it wants to ignore this rising veg, then this level here comes in perfectly. The one that I marked previously, the 107.48, if we clear that, then yes, we'll go a little bit to the upside. If we drop if we end up breaking the lower side of this so-called veg, then yes, everything could come in line perfectly, and we could see a move towards this upside support line, this medium term upside support line taken from the low of that 10th of February, and then we'll go from there. Gold. Of course, stronger dollar gave this weakness here in gold, and it dropped. Now, one thing that I need to do here is get rid of this upside line. Again, it was a bit of a tentative one. Or I wouldn't say a tentative one. It did have 3 touches here, but I think it's time now because look, we broke the upside line, but it could continue sliding here, could continue moving lower. But again, I think this upside line is now in the way. This level, the one that I talked about previously, the 1775, it was working perfectly with the upside scenario. With the downside one, it's just kind of, we can see that the commodity is just oscillating around this level. So I would say let's tidy up our chart, and maybe it's not as significant as we would like it to be, but I can see that this one, the inside swing high of the 3rd of August, is something a little bit better here. Now, it's only about 1770. It's only 1772 level here, just about $3 away from that previous level. But it somehow continues to do the job. So it continues to do that job, and it continues to kind of provide that support, because as we can see here, it did get a hold up. The commodity did get a hold up of this area. So maybe not the 1775 level anymore, but the 1772 is the one to keep an eye on. Again, will that be the case? Let's see. Even if you need to be, let's say, a little bit, if you want to go a little bit lower on this one, well, the preferred scenario for me would be probably somewhere below this 21-day EMA. However, if you're, if you want to take advantage of this little territory, then yes, you could keep an eye on that 1772 territory. But hey, you need to have your stop loss in place. Now with the upside, so we can see that 1787 level, it did previously do its job. Now again, it's no longer acting as that that level to watch out for. I think it's time to adjust this, and I think we can take a look at the high of last week, so just to be a little bit more on the safe side. So in terms of the upside, I would now like to wait for a push above the high of last week, just to be a little bit more on the safe side. So that's roughly around that 1795 level. And as it could pop above it, would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and more buyers could join in. WTI oil. Yeah, this one is so far doing a good job here as well. It is rebounding from that 87.90 territory, so everything's in line here with the idea that I talked about previously. I said that look, we might see a nice rebound here, and keeping our eyes on that 90.58 territory, roughly around here, marked by the low of the 14th of July, or in other words, the lowest point of July. So the lowest point of July now could be acting as a nice area of resistance. If it does, then another decline here could be possible. So long story short, if you're excuse me, if you're looking for some downside, then yes, there is a good opportunity maybe to step in somewhere near that 90.58 zone. However, if you're a little bit on the careful side, you can keep an eye, you can just wait for a drop below this 87.90 territory, and because a nice good drop below it would confirm a forthcoming lower low. Ethereum, very quickly on that one. So, okay, so previously, if you remember, I talked a lot about that 1700 level, so which we managed to violate on the 5th of August. Okay, that's great. So Saturday and Sunday here we traded a little bit. We stayed above this upside line, and we're now trying to push a little bit higher. But look how well the 100-day EMA is playing out here. Oh my God, that's just great. Because look, I said to you before that if we push through this, I mean 1700 level is the one. If we stay above it, then yeah, we could go higher. We went higher, but the 100-day EMA provided resistance. So well, kind of going from that, we would now the fact that it's still trading above the 1700 level is giving us that good, indication that the instrument wants to go further north. But just for that extra confirmation, if you wish, you could keep an eye on that 100-day EMA. A nice, good, clear move above it. Then, and we will, if we continue to trade above that, then yes, this could open the door towards that psychological 2000 mark, guys, and then we'll go from there. Now, jumping into a few pairs very quickly before I run out of time. AUD USD. So on Friday we declined as logical, I mean, but still, if you remember throughout the whole week I was talking about AUD USD. I said that look, we had a nice reversal and rebound from this downside line, and but I said that look, if we push and stay above this 0.6977 territory, I'll go higher. But this level worked out perfectly. And on Friday we saw that nice good decline, which yeah, ended up testing again the downside line. So but the downside line is again doing the job and providing support. With the upside, I'm still going to stick to the same level. If we do push above this barrier, then yes, I'll go for a little bit higher levels. For the downside, it needs to drop somewhere below this 0.6854 territory, and then I'll go to the downside. USD CAD, guys. Now, USD CAD, look at this beautiful move here on Friday. Yes, everything's kind of, logical. We had a bad number, the IV, Canadian IV number, so yep, and that kind of didn't really sparkle with the Canadian dollar bulls. And yeah, we had a stronger US dollar, so this is the reaction, this is logical, this is what you got, and moved higher. But again, as I mentioned before, Canadian USD CAD is my second least favorite pair to trade. Some adjustments have to be made here. This has to go. Some of these levels no longer valid. I will mark the high of last week near the 1.2985 level. So if you're looking for some higher levels, a push through that barrier is required. In terms of the downside here, so if you're looking for some lower levels, I would say wait for a drop somewhere below this 100-day EMA. Or I mean, we could start looking at the 21-day EMA, but then be very careful. We could see maybe a drift lower, but maybe a hold up somewhere near this 100-day EMA. But yeah, if you're a little bit more adventurous, then keep your eyes on that 21-day EMA. If we drop and stay below it, then yeah, I'll go lower. With the upside, I need to see a push above this 1.2985 zone in order to go higher. USD JPY, breaking this downside line, so of course got a boost on Friday, and we're now breaking this downside line. Okay, so everything's kind of fine here, everything's looking quite positive, and we're breaking this downside line, and we're breaking the 21-day EMA. Now, in order to go higher, I would like to see this pair staying, remaining above that 21-day EMA. If we do that, then yeah, I'll go further north, guys. With the downside, I need to see a drop below this 131.50 level still, so yep, same analysis is valid. GBP USD, yeah, the decline on Friday, so logical, but there is still a hope here for the buyers, or at least they maybe think so. If you want to go to the upside, well, I would prefer to wait for a push above this 1.2293 territory. I get it. We could be missing out on a bit of territory here, but to be honest, it's nothing that I can see here, where, for example, for the upside, maybe a little bit earlier, because it could be a little correction here back to the upside and then another decline. So that's why my downside scenario, previously I talked about this 1.2065 territory, but now I would prefer to look at the low of last week near the 1.20 almost near that psychological level here. So a nice good drop below that psychological 1.20 territory may lead to some lower areas. EuroCAD, similar story with, well, actually almost similar story with the USD CAD, but here we have 2 weak currencies, euro and Canadian dollar. And look at this, on Friday we just got a bit of a move here and there, and we stayed below this downside line. And previously, if you remember, I talked about this idea where I said that maybe we could be forming a descending triangle pattern here. Well, it could be the case, but we need to wait. We need to wait for at least a break below this this highlighted territory right here near the 1.3024 level, and then if we stay below it, then yeah, we'll go further south. At the moment, we are near this downside line. Of course, it kind of keeps the sellers on the edge here a little bit, because maybe we could see a break through this downside line. But hey, if you're looking for something a little bit more reassuring, maybe just you could keep an eye on the high of the 19th of July. But I'm not saying anything. I'm not against the idea, let's say, to consider this high, the current highest point of August, near the 1.3219 level. If we clear this barrier, then yeah, we'll go for the upside here, and then we'll take it from there. And Euro Aussie. So this one, I haven't looked at this one for quite a while, so that's why let me just refresh this chart because it's way overcrowded here. Now, one thing that I wanted to draw here is this tentative downside resistance line. Now again, on one hand it could be a tentative one, on the other hand we do have several touches here, so maybe this is something to watch. So it's a very good probably line here for the short run, because if we break this downside line, then we would also be placed above the 21-day EMA, and then we could consider a move to the upside. If you're looking for some lower levels, and then I would prefer to wait for a drop below the 1.4511 zone, and then yeah, we'll go from there. Now, in terms of the upside, again, if you're looking for a level, if you don't like this downside line, then maybe you could keep an eye on the current highest point of August near the 1.4806 territory, and then from here you can go a little bit to the upside. And finally, EURUSD, guys, still in a range. Again, it's a perfect, it's a range trader's paradise here. I mean, look, if you're enjoying this, this is just continues to oscillate around that 21-day EMA. So yeah, if you're looking for some lower levels, I'll stick to the same analysis. If you're looking for some lower levels, a drop below this 1.0122 territory is required. If you're looking for some higher levels, now this is where the point I will probably shift my arrow here, because again, we are getting closer to this downside line, which is drawn from the high of the 10th of February, but yeah, we're still kind of away from it. But let's put it this way, from the shorter term perspective, you could keep an eye on that 21-day EMA. If we push through it, then yes, we could go higher. Maybe we could end up moving here again, something like that, and then if it finds a hold up, and then we could drift back down. So basically we could continue oscillating around that 21-day EMA. So that's why I'm looking for something a little bit more reassuring here. And if you want to go to the upside, probably I will stick to this area right here, this 1.0340 and the this downside line. A nice good clear break through it, then could open the door towards higher levels later on. For the downside, I need to see a drop, as I said, below this 1.0122 territory, and then we'll go from there. So guys, oh, just a quick mentioning that on Friday there won't be any Traders Espresso because yeah, and from Friday and from this Friday until the 22nd. So we'll resume with the Traders Espresso on the 23rd, but that's from Friday up until that. So tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, there still will be Traders Espresso. So yeah, we'll catch up then, but just wanted to let you know in advance. So guys, that's it for this session. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate your time, guys, your views, your likes, your comments, everything. I always do. I always appreciate that. So thank you very much for your support. In general, have a wonderful trading day today. Stay safe, have your stop losses in place, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.